Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday morning's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, Dennis, have about a 19-point range in the S&Ps this morning. Seemed to have a little rally overnight, but giving it back.
Yeah, giving it back here this morning. Checked it last night before I went to bed. We were up 7 or 8, so I was expecting, we might have a decent open here, come down, we're down 6. So all the movement, again, still happens overnight there, Joel.
We still can't even be up with Warren speaking on CNBC right now.
Yeah, and I think I thought you would think that would give, obviously it is giving some pressure up on some of our stocks here. The IBM trading up here this morning. We'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But so whatever, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on Warren Buffett though when he's talking, because if he talks about a stock, it's probably going to move.
Okay, Globex high 1270.75. Really don't have any relevant number for you in that area, so it can't stand as the high of the day. But if it does, we have a downside target of 1240 even. The Globex low currently stands at 1252 even, which is just one tick below our daily pivot. So have a good number to focus on the downside. In order to turn this market around, get it positive, get a chance to test this Globex high, we would need to clear a settlement here at 1261.25. Well, Dennis, that Apple computer continued that breakdown yesterday, getting as low as 380.26 and getting a little bounce. I guess all the pundits are saying buy the dips.
Yeah, everybody was coming out saying buy the dips, but I still don't agree. I think, obviously it was a decent day that it made that low and then actually popped up, to close just basically flat. So, decent day overall for Apple to come back from being down, rallied 4 points, but I still, feel like rally should be sold. We are trading good relative strength here this morning on Apple there, Joel. It's trading up $1 with the SPUs down 4. So, you still got some value guys coming in here, but I just tend to think that this chart is broken. I think if we get up into those, it's 390s, you're going to find lots of sellers up there, and that's probably your best opportunity.
Okay, I don't think this thing will be able to turn it around until Friday's high was 388.70, and then you have the old low after the earnings came out at 390.75. So that's a $2 range, but that's pretty good resistance until we can get a couple closes above 391. Apple maybe turned a little rotten on us. Moving on to ExxonMobil, just kind of snuck up there at the end of the day. Dennis tested that $80 level. Got rejected, closed at 79.72, currently trading down about 50 cents. Tight range in that stock yesterday, have a gap to fill between 79.34 and 79.02, but just call that 79 level. We get a break below that area, and I don't see a whole lot of support.
Yeah, we talked about this 80 level a few times. There is some big size there at 80, over 100,000 shares. I also see some at 80.25, some large size as well. So you got major resistance up here in the high 79s. Those high frequency guys probably got, short there in, 79.90s. They usually cover overnight, but they'll be there again, or they usually cover during the day. So they'll be there again though in the 79.90. So I'd expect resistance all the way up from settlement, which is 79, 72, all the way up to that 80 area, and then actually even up to 80.25. But initial resistance definitely in the high 79s.
Starting to get thick there. Not sure why IBM's trading up a stick and a half. Maybe Warren said something favorable.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay.
That's Warren.
Well, only got one number for you in IBM, folks, and that's the old-time high there at 190.53. Should buck and a half away from there, but that's the only resistance I had. I was looking to play this thing of breakout over 177, 187.88, 188 seemed to be huge resistance. If this market, starts to peel back, I wouldn't be surprised to see IBM come back and fill that gap down to the 188 level.
I like that 188 level for a swing number. The news was Warren Buffett just on CNBC there a few minutes ago disclosed that he had bought 10.5 billion shares of IBM here over the last year. So he's adding to an IBM position, which is now disclosed. That's why the stock is getting a pop here this morning. 188, was huge resistance here, Joel. If it opens over there, I'd expect, that to provide some support. Opens below there, be resistance. I know we're still, an hour away from the open, so anything can happen. Obviously, that's going to be putting upward pressure on the stock all morning when Warren Buffett discloses a position like that. I'd use that 188 for my swing number, so, on this stock.
Okay, Microsoft recovered nicely, bouncing off that 26 level, had a bunch of lows there at the end of last week. Snuck over the $27 level, couldn't close above there. Really starting to run into major resistance. We talked about this 27 even level, got to 27.08. You're not out of the woods if you clear there. You have the weekly high at 27.20, and then the major resistance at 27.50. Coming back on the downside, if this thing does go into sell-off mode, I really don't see a whole lot in this stock, down to the low 26s.
Yeah, we were saying the range seems to be low 26s to the high 26s. Obviously broke a little bit above that range there on Friday, trading and closing almost, closing at 26.91, right into that 27 area resistance. 27.40 is the big resistance on this, so, it's tough if you short at 27. It's hard, to say that's going to stop right there. It could go 20, 30, 40 cents against you. If you're able to try a short up at 27.40, I think 27.40 to 27.50 is still great resistance on the stock.
Okay, Chevron Corporation trying to sneak up to that 110.01 number, the all-time high. The weekly high was a point below that at 109. Friday's high was even below that at 107.52, so I expect start running into some thick resistance here, starting at that 107.50. We are trading below settlement here, so folks that are looking to get out at the mark probably selling around the 107 area. Coming back on the downside, it was a tight range in that stock yesterday. We're currently trading below Friday's low. So I would use that as a swing number. If you're going long at that Friday low at 106.61, you really don't have a whole lot of cover in this stock. Really down to 103.5.
Yeah, it's scary to be a buyer of this stock in this level, but if it gets up into those 108s, 109s, that's where, you're going to find some major resistance. Starting at 109, Joel, even in the book, I see 109, I see 109.12, I see 109.25. So maybe some, institutions slowly starting to spray some stock out in the 109s. Obviously 110 is just enormous on this stock, so that's where your major resistance is. But it looks like you're going to get some initial resistance up in the 108s if we did go into rally mode in the stock.
J&J had a nice day, busting through the 65 level, getting up to 65.49 for the weekly high as well. Above that, we have that 65.86 level, which is a 9-day high. So it's getting real thick here above the 65.5 up to 65.86. Coming back on the downside, currently about 40 cents from Friday's low, 64.62. Look for a little bounce there. But below Friday's low, you're looking at about a buck drop to that 63.66 level, which was Thursday's low, and Wednesday's close just below that.
We've been speaking about this 66 seller for like the last couple of months here, Back in September, he got nibbled on a little bit. October didn't quite get to where he was. Like, he's been there forever. So obviously in the high 65s, you have the high frequency guys, and then, and then the mid 65s to upper 65s, you get the swing traders there that know there's major resistance up there. Like, just looking at a chart, they look at the chart and they see major resistance. The reason that's been major resistance is there's that big seller up there. So it's funny how sometimes fundamental information, just of some order, supply, and demand makes the chart happen. So, that's, some, information that obviously isn't provided, in a lot of places. But if you just look, if you do have, an NYSE open book, you can get this information, which probably isn't that bad of an idea if you're trading, NYSE stocks, but during the day, NYSE open book, we've always argued is kind of useless because you have a lot of high frequency guys that just have envelope orders that are moving. But if you can find some solid sellers that aren't moving, then maybe it makes it worth the money.
Okay, Procter & Gamble just kind of been meandering between the low to mid 62s to the high 63s. Got up to 64.14 on Friday. The weekly high 20 cents above that, so I think things are going to really thicken up in that area. The close 63.89 should be a good swing number today. We are trading below that level. Really not sure what's going to, cause a breakdown in this stock. It's just, kind of rallied ahead of the market and just kind of holding up. I do see we're trading below Friday's low here, 63.58. So let's use that as a swing number. And, really don't have a whole lot of that. We've traded through the 63s a lot. So look for a test of Wednesdays and Thursdays lows at 62.56 to 80 if we go into sell-off mode.
This is a tough chart here, Joel, really. I'm looking at this, and you could argue the 64 number looks key for a swing number. If we start to break up over that 64.14, 64.20 area, then it opens up a little bit, maybe even all the way up in, the high 64s. But, so maybe I'd use that, and it almost looks like it could break out. It looks kind of forming, and looking like it wants to maybe break out. But I can easily see how this could break down, too, and then your major support's down the mid-62s. So, I'd just use a 64 for my swing number.
Okay, GE participated in the rally early in the day, getting right up to that weekly high, which is 1649, stopping at 1647. Major resistance, let's call it that 1650 level. Coming back on the downside, the close here at 1630. Trading a few cents below that. Should be a good swing number. If you are shorting it, we do get a rally. You're going to take heat up to that 16.5. And below Friday's low, 1623. Let's look for a test of Thursday's low at 1597. Seem to be channeling stocks.com here with the GE 16 to 1650.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, Joel, and I do have a position in GE for full disclosure.
Okay. Coca-Cola couldn't quite get to that $69 level that we've been talking about for quite a while here. Even stopped short of the weekly high on Friday. Weekly high 68.72. Friday high 68.65. That did settle 40 cents off its high at 68.12. A little weakness there. Let's use that 67.75 to 95. Little gap there. Thursday's high, Friday's low is pretty good support. Below that level, we'll be looking for the double bottom at Wednesday's lows at 66.86 to 66.91.
We got 4 or 5 tops up here. We have, that 69 area that we had talked about, but even 68.70, 68.61 on Friday, 68, 78, I think it is, back on November 3rd. So again, these high 68s, and there seems to be sellers all over the place. I don't see what that's going to change. Gets above 69, then all bets are off. But, I think it's a low risk short this in the high 68s, obviously with your out being above 69.
Okay, just a familiar theme here in the Big Ten. Stocks bumping up against major resistance. The only one that wouldn't fit that bill would be IBM, which broke above on the Warren news. So should be interesting to see if the stocks can take those levels and test the highs for the year. We're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with our market movers.